Hello, welcome to this week's episode on the talk show. I remain Elijah Tanimola. Today, I'll be discussing on the subject 24 lies you may have believed as a lady. The first lie is your body is the most valuable substance you have to offer. Many times, ladies believe that their bodies is the most valuable asset that they have to offer. But I want to tell you that that is a lie. You have more than your body to offer. You have more than your sexuality to offer. There's more to your life than your sexuality. You must understand that your maturity is the most valuable assets that you have to offer in a relationship. You have to offer your spiritual maturity, your intellectual maturity, your emotional maturity. Those are the valuable assets that you have, and you must not be too focused on your sexuality that you lose focus on the things that are most valuable. That is your sexual growth, your spiritual growth, your emotional growth, your intellectual growth. A lot of ladies in this generation, they cannot even engage in intellectual conversations. And the only thing they care about is how they look. The only thing they care about is their physical outlook, because they believe that their sexuality, their body is the most valuable asset that they have to offer. But I want you to understand that that is not the most valuable asset you have to offer. Your most valuable asset is your personality. That is your person. Beyond your sexuality, the person that you are, your person as a spiritual being, your person as an intellectual being, your person as an emotional being. Those are the things that are most valuable, and you must take note of that. You must not believe the lie that your body is the most valuable substance that you have to offer. Now, the second lie you may have believed is that the female gender is inferior to the male gender. No, because of our society and because of the way things have gone in time past, a lot of time the female gender has been configured to believe that they are inferior to the male gender. And this is obviously because of the way we actually give preferences and allowances, like liberality to the male gender, unlike the female gender. Take for instance, I discussed some time ago about the common sex myths that you may have believed. I said that a lot of time the male gender have been made to express their sexual needs without any feeling of discrimination or segregation, but the female gender have not been given such liberality to actually express their sexuality. But I want you to understand that you are not inferior to the male gender. You are valuable. You are human. God, by creation, the female and the male gender, they have equal value, equal worth, and equal importance. You are not inferior to any other human being. The Bible says when God created man in his own image and after his likeness, he said, let them have dominion. He said he created them male and female. He created them. He said, let them have dominion over the fish of the sea. He didn't say that the male gender should have dominion over the female gender. He didn't say the female gender should have dominion over the male gender. He said, let both of them have dominion over every other creation. That is, they are both human. The male gender and the female gender, we are both humans, and we must understand it. Don't allow any man to put you under subjection, to force you to subject to him. Don't allow anybody to subjugate you because you are a female. You are not inferior to the male gender. You can also be a leader. You can also do exploits. You can also attain success. You can also achieve great things in life. Don't allow anybody to put you in the second fiddle. You are not inferior to the male gender. You have equal value, equal worth, and equal importance. That is God's creational standard for every human, both male and female. Don't believe that lie that the female gender is inferior to the male gender. Now, the third lie you may have believed is that women should not express their sexual needs to their husbands. What do I mean by this? That is, a lot of time we believe that women should not initiate sex with their husband. I've spoken about this a lot during the intimacy series, and you can do well to check those series to understand the right disposition that a woman should have, a wife should have towards her husband in the marriage institution. Don't believe the lie that the woman shouldn't express her sexual need to her husband. You are both in the marriage institution declaration together. You both declare that you don't declare I do during your wedding ceremony, and that means that you both have the right to actually express your needs and express and set your sexual needs is one of the needs that you have to express to your husband. You shouldn't be afraid of that. I understand that the society has made the female gender to feel that they cannot do that, but I want you to understand that as far as God is concerned in the marriage institution, you have the right to express your sexual needs to your husband. Now, the fourth lie you may have believed is that you just have to manage any man that agrees to marry you. You don't have much choice. A lot of time, because of because of a lot of things that are happening in our generation, a lot of women a lot of ladies have configured their minds to believe that any man that agrees to marry you, you have to just hold on to that man. Whether it's bad, whether it's terrible, you just have to hold on to him, because you believe that you have this mindset, there are no more responsible men out there. But I want you to understand that you have to create the right standards for yourself and to wait for the right man that truly deserves you. You shouldn't be too desperate to settle for anybody, because marriage is not designed for you to endure. Marriage is designed for you to enjoy. Marriage is designed for you to propel you to attain God's purpose and plans for your life. So you can't afford to settle for any man that agrees to marry you. In fact, the right order should be that you make the choice should be in your own court. That is, you should be the one to make the choice of who you want to agree to marry. The Bible says that God, when after God created man and he saw that it was not good for the man to be alone, he said, I will make for him an helpmate suitable for him. So therefore God brought the woman to the man to show for the woman, and the man declared that now this is the bone of my bone and the flesh of my flesh. Now it is now left to the woman to make the decision whether to accept that proposal or not. So the ball should actually be in your court, not in any man's court. So don't settle for any man that agrees to marry you with the mindset that you don't have much choice. My dear, you have a lot of choices. You have a lot of choices. I know there's this scripture that we normally quote in Isaiah that says that in those days, in that day, there will be 7 women will hold on to one man. But I want to tell you that you don't have to be part of those 7 women. You have the right to a good husband. You have the right to a responsible husband. There are still responsible men out there. You have to wait. You have to have the right standards, and you have to stick to those standards. I'm not saying that you have the upward and the unattainable standards, but I'm saying that you have to keep the right standard, have the right mindset. Don't believe that you have to settle for any man that agrees to marry because you have more choice. Now, the 5th lie you may have believed is that all men are the same. You don't have to believe this. This is a lie. All men are not the same, both in the positive aspect and the negative aspect. And now I'm talking about the negative aspect. Even in the positive aspect, all men are not the same. All men are not responsible as your father might have been. All men are not faithful as your father might have been. And you must understand this. You must not be naive. You must see clearly and make right judgments. And for the other part I want to discuss fully on is that all men are the same, in the sense that all men lie, all men cheat, all men are unfaithful. Don't believe this lie. This is a lie from the pit of hell. All men are not the same. All men are not dogs. All men are not liars. All men are not cheaters. All men are not unfaithful to their spouses. You must not believe this lie. All men are not the same. There are still responsible men out there. There are still faithful men out there. There are still men that are truthful and transparent and trustworthy. You must not believe that all men are the same. I want you to understand that most of the time, what you believe is what you attract. If you believe that all men are the same in the sense of the negative aspects of characters and things like that, you must understand that is who you will always attract. And then you now come to a place of conclusion that, all men are the same, because you have often believed that and you have always attracted such men Therefore, you come to a conclusion at the end of the day, perhaps after dating quite a number of men, and you believe that all men are the same, they are cheaters. So you believe that you just have to manage your cheating husband. You believe that men are created to cheat. So the best you can do is to manage them and to try your best not to allow any woman to displace you in your husband's house. You must not believe that all men are the same. All men are not the same. There are still responsible men out there. There are still faithful men out there. There are still truthful men out there. There are still trustworthy men out there. You must not believe that lie. You must understand that. The sixth lie you may have believed is that there should be positional equality in marriage. You must understand that gender equality is not the same thing as positional equality in marriage. I understand that feminism campaign has actually brought the awareness of gender equality, which is right in a lot of sense, because it has brought out the sense of independence and has helped women to actually come to the awareness of their potentials more and to develop and to deploy their potentials the right way. But I want you to understand that this equality is not the same thing as positional equality in marriage. You must understand quite alright that the marriage is an institution ordained by God, and just like every other institution, there is a structure, and in that structure there are positions. With every position there are attached responsibilities, and with these responsibilities there are assigned authorities, and you must understand this clearly. For every institution to work correctly and to attain success, there can be positional equality. There has to be a head, there has to be a leader that is giving instructions. There has to be associates and followers that are receiving instructions and carrying out the instructions. There should be order, there should be a chain of command. That is how institutions and organizations are designed to run in order for them to attain success. In the same way, the marriage institution is designed to function like this. So don't believe that there should be positional equality in marriage. God designed the man to be the head of the woman in the marriage institution. It doesn't mean that the man is superior to the woman or the woman is inferior to the man. It is only a positional order. It is only an institutional structure. So don't expect that both of you, as a man and a woman, you have to take decisions in the house. So you have equal authority in the house. You don't have equal authority. There is a leader that gives instruction, and you are to receive instructions. Your position and your responsibility and your authority is to make suggestions for the leader to make the final decisions. So in the long run, you are both making the decision, but he as the leader is taking the final authority over every decision that you make in that home. So don't expect and don't believe that the lie that there should be positional equality in marriage. The seventh lie you may have believed is that submission is for weak and foolish women. This is also related to the last point I've made. A lot of women, because of a lot of things that is going on out there, believe that submission is only for weak and foolish women. You must understand this clearly, that submission is not the same thing as being subjugated. Because you are submissive does not mean you are foolish. Because you are submissive does not mean you are weak. In fact, it shows that you are understanding, you are wise, and you are mature enough to relate with a marriage institution. You know what? One of the stories that I love so much in the scriptures and inspires me a lot to get a clearer understanding of what submission is in John chapter 13 from verse 3 to 5. The Bible says that Jesus Christ knew that God has committed all things under his power, and that he has come from God and that he is returning to God. Then he had this understanding. He had this understanding that he is not inferior. He had this understanding that all power has been all things have been committed under his power. he has the right understand, the right state of mind. And verse 4 says, and he got up from the meal, and he took off his outer clothes, and he wrapped the towel around his waist, and he poured water on the inside the basin, and he started washing his disciples' feet. The first thing was that he had a right understanding of who he was. A right understanding of who he was. So what you need is to have a right understanding of who you are. You have to develop your self-esteem. Because you are told to submit to your husband does not mean you are inferior to him. You must understand that clearly. You must understand that you are not inferior to him. It's only a positional structure. It's only a structure. It's a linear structure. And you must understand it clearly. After Jesus Christ understood this, and he bent down and he started washing his disciples' feet. So are we saying that Jesus Christ was foolish? Or that Jesus Christ was weak? No. It means that he is mature. He's a man of understanding. He's a man of wisdom. And you must understand that it is only a lie that submission is for weak and foolish women. The eighth lie that you may have believed is that good sex is what keeps a man committed, is what sustains a man's commitment. You must understand that this is only a lie. Good sex doesn't sustain a man's commitment. It doesn't. Good sex is good in the marriage institution. It can maintain a lot of things in the marriage between the man and the woman. But you must understand that you cannot tie a man down with good sex. Prostitutes give their clients good sex. It's all business. So if you think that good sex can keep your man, can sustain your man's commitment, then you are lying. You have believed a big fat lie. That's a lie. Good sex doesn't sustain a man's commitment. A man makes a decision to either be committed or not. It is his choice to either be committed or not. You cannot tie him down with good sex. You must not believe that lie. The ninth lie you may have believed is that it is a man's word. You have to be at their mercy. It is not a man's word. God created this world for both man and woman to dominate, to subdue, to replenish the heart. That is our mandate. It is not just a man's mandate. It's not just a male gender thing. It is both gender thing. You must understand this. It is not a man's word. I understand that a lot of privileges have been given to the male gender in our society, which is actually wrong, which is obviously wrong. But you must understand this as a right understanding. You must have this right understanding that it is not a man's word. You don't have to be at any man's mercy. You can achieve greatness without depending on any man. You can achieve success without depending on any man. You can stand independent and achieve success without having to rely on any man. You don't have to be at any man's mercy. You don't have to be at the man's mercy. You don't have to look up to a man before you eat. You don't have to look up to a man before you clothe yourself. You have to understand that God created you with the right potentials for you to flourish and to attain success in life. I'm not saying that you should disrespect your husband, but I am saying that you must have the right mindset that it is not a man's word. It's not just a man's word. It is the word that God designed for us to dominate, to subdue, and to replenish it. The 10th lie you may have believed is that marriage kills lust and sexual temptations. You have to understand that marriage doesn't kill lust or sexual temptations. You will still be tempted sexually even as you are married. We all face temptations every day, even sexually, as married men and married women. You must understand this clearly. Marriage doesn't kill lust. Marriage only gives lust a legal grant to operate. And your best bet still remains the fruit of self-control. You need to develop the fruit of self-control as a lady. You need to develop it. Rushing into marriage because you cannot control your lust cannot really cure that lust. You need to develop a sense of self-control, the fruit of self-control. You need to develop it. Because if your husband is not at home, if your husband is so busy and preoccupied with a lot of things and you don't get his attention sexually, then what happens? to that lust. If you have not developed self-control, then that lust will lead you to do things outside your marriage. And you must understand, marriage doesn't cure lust or sexual temptation. That's a lie that you must not believe. That you must believe. The 11th lie you may have believed is that you must marry before or by age 25. A lot of ladies believe this. This is only a lie. There's no age bracket as to when you should marry. I believe in early marriage, but more than early marriage, I believe more in marrying correctly, marrying the right partner. Because if you calculate it, if let's say you're saying that you're projecting you're going to live like 80 years on earth, and you marry by age 25, and you marry to the wrong partner, then it means that it's either you get out of that marriage, which is not God's intention, which is not God's ideal, or you stay in that marriage, you stay in the marriage with the wrong man for 55 years of your life. 55, that is huge. So I believe that in as much as I believe that you should marry early, I also believe that more importantly, you should marry right. So don't put yourself under unnecessary pressure. A lot of people have put themselves under this pressure so much that they have gone into the wrong relationships. They have married the wrong people because they will not wait. They believe that there's a benchmark of age 25. That must get married by age 25 before it will come over by age 25. That's the latest age that you should get married. And they are now in toxic marriages. They are now in marriages that they are not happy. Some of them, they are already divorced at the early age. No, it's a lie. You don't have to put yourself under that pressure. The best thing is for you to get it right, to get it correctly, and to marry the right person that God has ordained for you in order for you to enjoy God's ideal for your marriage. The 12th lie you may have believed, which is where I will stop on this episode and I'll continue on the others on the next episode, is that you may have the 12th lie may have believed is that you can change your man to your taste. A lot of ladies believe this. They believe that I can change him. You can change him. They just have this idea that they can tweak the man to their taste. But I want you to understand that I believe that there are certain things you can tweak to your taste. That maybe you can influence his manner of dressing. I mean, the physical things. The physical things, you can change the way he looks. You can change. You can influence the way he speaks. You can influence his intonation. You can influence quite a number of things on the outside. But I want you to understand that you cannot change the core of who he is. You cannot change the core of a person, of a man's personality. You cannot change the core of a man's character. That change is not in your hands. It only takes God and the cooperation of that person, largely the cooperation of that man, to become changed. It is not in your hands. Don't assume, don't believe the lie that you can change a man to your taste. You cannot do that. You don't have the power to do that. If he wants to change, it is left to him. He has to cooperate largely with God to make that happen. I understand you can influence him. But don't assume, don't believe that you can change him to your taste. You cannot change him to your taste. You can influence him correctly. But I'm saying that don't believe that lie. That you can change him to your taste. You cannot change the core of who he is. You cannot change his personality. You cannot change his character. You cannot change the core of his person. You must not believe that lie if you will enjoy the best in your relationship and your marriage. Next week I'll be doing the other part of this interesting subject, and I trust that you will gain a lot even from the next episode. I hope that you have been able to get something on this episode tonight. Till I come your way next week, stay safe, God bless you, and bye.